Specifically when it comes to AI, I know I'll be replaced. It's just changing so freaking fast. It has always been important to be very adaptive and flexible, but it has never been as important as it is now. But now there is a new movement arising called vibe coding. Instruct AI what you want to create, and it's then coding and creating the code base. You're not even reading the code. You're just checking if it works. So it's vibe coding. So your creativity is the limit. If you say yes to something, you just need to take action. I managed to release that application to tens of thousands of users. They can speak to an AI language tutor with their voice. I managed to do that in 1 week. For me, happiness is energy, being happy in the moment.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Many Firsts, the podcast where we explore the power of first-time experiences and share transformative and inspirational moments in our lives. I'm your host, Regula Fischer, and I'm super happy to be here today, live in the studio in Vilnius with Vykintas. Welcome, Vykintas.
Hello, everyone.
How has your day been so far?
Very good. Very good. I finally got back to waking up early in the morning. Because I have been struggling with that since I became a father of two. But yeah, I now managed to wake up, and then naturally it gives me the energy and flow to the rest of the day. So I'm feeling very good.
Good. And the sun maybe helps as well, right? It's a beautiful spring day today.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I know early mornings, there's something magical about them. Let me just share a few things about you to give everyone a bit of an idea what all you have done so far in life. And when I looked at your bio, what really stood out for me was the letter M. Because professionally, you started your career in the military in Lithuania, your home country. Then eventually you moved to Malaysia. You moved into management and joined the company Mindvalley, where you now host and author the AI Mastery Program. So you see all these M's, right? And you're also leading the AI transformation for Mindvalley. And just along the way, you also discovered the power of the mind, meditation. You became a marathon runner. And now this is probably going a bit too far, but you also, I'm not sure if you make coffee, or at least there's something with a coffee gratitude ritual that's also part of your life. Obviously many firsts, many M's. And I can't wait to dive into some of them and learn about the stories behind them. And I thought, why don't we start with the mind? Because I think that's something that you became aware of quite early in your journey. I think you even said that the power of the mind is more important than muscles, basically physical strength. Could you take us to the moment when you first became aware of that and how this has influenced your journey afterwards?
Interesting. Actually, very beautiful way. Have you noticed these M letters? I've never thought about it this way. I noticed the power of the mind, I think, very early on when I was a teenager, even a kid.
Oh, wow.
Because I got very interested early on in politics and economics when I was 10 years old, reading all the newspapers, watching all the news about that. And I even was invited while being a 12-year-old boy to a live TV broadcast to debate against a parliament member in a local studio in my hometown.
Not in this one.
Not in this one. Yeah,
we are in a kind of a television studio.
And it showed me that, okay, even if you are small, if you focus on your mind, if you are really interested and passionate about something, you can become pretty good at that. And then I just started carrying like this, that whatever I would start doing, I would really approach it from a very curious mind. That would help me create passion for the subject at stake. And this way, like I changed and transformed a lot of times across my life. I started from economics, politics, and ended up with artificial intelligence at the moment. But this what allowed me all the time to transform and fall in love with a lot of new topics.
Thank you for sharing that. You're saying that there have been transformations. How much do you in your life, and again, from, you said politics and economics to today, a focus on artificial intelligence. And you said for the moment. So I assume it may evolve and transform into something again, or you may transform. How consciously do you take these decisions in the mind, that you transform? Are you very aware? Does it sometimes just happen and you eventually notice, oh, I've been changing again? How do you get into these topics?
So I noticed that transformation or moving to a new field happens quite naturally when there is opportunity arising in your life and you start going towards that opportunity. But then at some point, it shifts in your mind. You understand that, oh, damn, if I want to really become good in this, I need to change my identity to start seeing myself in a different way. So let's say at Mindvalley, I used to be a manager. And while being a manager, I started building various automations, applications for myself. And I fell in love with that. And I understood that it creates more joy for me to build something, to be the builder, as opposed to just manage people directly and do people management and so on. And this transition was going little by little until at some point I understood that, no, I don't want any more meetings. I want to become a full-on developer. And my identity shift happened. I pushed Vision to create a new role for me. At first, he was like, maybe 40% capacity, 60% capacity. But in a week, he was like, okay, go full in. Oh, good, go. Then afterwards, I started teaching artificial intelligence. So once again, I noticed at some point that, okay, now if I really want to become the best teacher in this field, I need to change the way I see myself. I need to see myself as an educator as opposed to a developer. So there were a lot of shifts like this throughout the years.
Do you sometimes get confused with the shifts that are happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you want stability and maybe you get a bit afraid of dropping everything, the way you saw yourself so far and how you were seeing your career developing and shifting to the other direction. But I learned that if you say yes to something, then and you get excited, as I mentioned, then it's usually not a problem. So you just need to take action.
Yeah, action also creates momentum, right? I think it's sometimes what paralyzes is if we stay in a state of paralysis, obviously not taking action. But as soon as we're in the flow, it kind of helps. But still, as you say, and I think it's clear to all of us that it would not always just be easy, especially as you say, if we give up our identity or part of it. And I think we hear a lot about people also that would, or they would they would hold themselves back because of the fear, right? How would others see that if I now come in new into a field? I don't know how it is for you with AI, for example. That's quite new for many of us. I think probably a majority of people on the planet, this is quite new. So there you may not be the only one that's new in a field. But what has helped you maybe to find this confidence or courage to say yes, no matter what others may think or say out there? I'm now going out there and I'm a developer, right? I mean, must have maybe felt a bit awkward even in the beginning. Or what's your experience with that?
I noticed for me personally, the biggest breakthroughs in my career, the way I feel, happened when I disattached from my ego. I didn't want to be appreciated, recognized, noticed, to prove anyone anything. I just fell in love at the moment with what I'm doing and just decided, okay, I just enjoy and this enjoyment, you mentioned the word flow, right? Will get you into the right energy and level of passion and excitement to become really good at whatever you're doing. So whenever I feel that, okay, I'm really passionate about this subject in my life and it's leading naturally that direction, then you make the shift. And you mentioned that I may change again. And yes, I'm teaching AI and I know that I will be replaced. Because I think the better you understand artificial intelligence, the exponential growth, what exponential growth means, and you understand what's happening now in the back end of how models are being developed, I know I'll be replaced.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, because AI will take over as a teacher, I guess, right? So already now we can basically learn from these models. And you, how do you face that fact? You trust that there will be another transformation for you.
Yes, I just understand that it's now, like, it has always been important to be very adaptive and flexible, but it has never been as important as it is now. That's the most important quality. And either you can be like Luddites, in what was it, during Industrial Revolution, people who are breaking all machinery and so on, they were protesting, right? And they lost, because it's just power of nature, of progress, of technology, it happens, right? So either we can go with this mindset, or we can embrace the change and not fight it, but go with the flow, embrace it. Of course, stay critical, but understand that, if you are being replaced, it's okay. You will find something else that you will enjoy and become good at.
Yeah, you mentioned flexibility. I love that, because I also like to say flexibility is a superpower. Do you know or have some tips for everyone or people out there that would like to build or expand their flexibility? Is there something specifically that we could do?
So specifically when it comes to AI, I would say that we need to understand that there is nearly nothing inherently that we do as humans that could not be in theory replaced. Nearly nothing. It's very difficult to come up with something. And for many years, people were thinking that creatives will not be replaced. Now we see that it's partially happening in a different direction as opposed to what we expected. So I think the most important thing is to not connect your happiness and your meaning in life to just one very narrow function that you can do at the moment. Because imagine if that function then, like AI comes, technology comes, or anyone else becomes better at you, your all self-realization, your identity, your happiness, everything just disappears, right? So it's very important, I believe, to work on yourself overall, to make sure that you are a happy person, and to try to make sure that the driving force in your life is not your ego in a way of like me and what I achieve and so on, but some kind of higher meaning, just enjoying life and trying to contribute. And of course, I'm telling as if I would have sorted it out. No, I'm struggling with that quite a lot, and going in different periods when I let my ego take over, and then again. But I believe that's now the most important thing, to try to deal with ourselves and with our egos.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. The struggles. And I was about to ask you, what is happiness for you? I don't know. Can you grasp it, or is it something that you aspire to, or that's...
For me, happiness is energy, being happy in the moment. I noticed multiple times in my life when I was happiest, even like so happy that I wanted to cry, even like having tears in my eyes, when nothing special was happening. I was neither rich nor in some Bahamas. Like, I remember one of the happiest moments in my life was when I was alone in Malaysia. My girlfriend left at that point. We lived in Malaysia. So I decided I will wake up at 4 a.m., run, then do my coffee gratitude ritual with coffee, when I fully focus on gratitude, feeling my body, feeling grateful for being able to hear it, for being able to see, for being able to smell, being grateful for oxygen that I get in my body, then being grateful for my lungs and my blood being able to push that oxygen through my body. So really trying to focusing on small things. And I understood that it was the real happiness for me, that I don't need anything special. And everything else, traveling, money, and so on, is just an additional thing on top, a cream on the top.
I just wanted to say that, like, do you drink coffee with cream or not? But that sounds peaceful, also beautiful. Do you do this coffee gratitude ritual basically daily? Or do you continue with that?
I have been doing for multiple years. Then at some point when I was going through a very intensive shift of my career, and I started focusing more on technical aspects, I dropped it. And after some time, I noticed that it's getting me a bit out of my inner peace, in inner harmony. Yes. So I have got back to it now in the last year or so and trying to do it every day. Just why it works, I believe, is because it's not something that you need to do. It's something that you connect to a thing that you do anyways every day. Drink coffee, at least for me. For some others, it may be tea.
Yeah.
And why coffee works for me, because it has a very strong smell that your body already recognizes. So we can play with the smell, with the taste that helps you get into the right state, and just in a few minutes of the ritual to feel very deep connection with your body and with your spiritual, emotional ideals.
It's very beautiful. And you say spiritual right now, because I was thinking, as you said, you dropped it a bit as you were focusing more and more on technology. So interesting, right? Because I feel that you're a very spiritual person as well, and focusing on technology. Obviously, this doesn't exclude, these two don't exclude each other. But would you say or think that somehow, because you started focusing on technology more, you dropped that part, that spiritual?
No,
or is it
I wouldn't
not
create a conflict. I just dropped it. I think the reason was, as I mentioned, I became a father.
Yeah.
And then it brought a huge change in my life that I couldn't, I lost a lot of control over my day, over my routines.
Yeah.
And then when I lost, let's say, my morning routines, naturally, then I lost the coffee gratitude ritual, because then later in the day when I would think about doing it, I would already be in this like hustling mindset that, I need now, no, I don't have so much time. I need to work now and to learn something, right? So it took me some time to recognize that and to prioritize adjusting, but at the same time reestablishing some kind of anchors that are very important.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, if I can say that, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and you said also, obviously, so there seems to have been a few transformations going on there as you became a father and you started focusing more on technology. That identity shift as well. How is it for your environment when you go through these transformations? Do you talk about that? Is it sometimes also difficult, maybe for your family, to not know? Where is this going as you're starting something new, or what has your experience been with that?
Yeah, just trying to be open about it. There is a bit of a danger in that as well. I noticed on myself that when I would go through some challenges. If I'm too open and voicing it out too much, I may get a bit into a victim mindset that, that kind of, it's happening to me or something.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's important not to voice it too much also all the time, or if you voice it to voice to someone who could notice and raise it to your awareness, or at least to train an internal voice that would notice that you're talking.
And voicing that you're going through a transformation. That's what do you mean by voicing or voicing?
So voicing when you're going through transformation and you lose something and you use it as an excuse. Let's say me dropping my coffee gratitude ritual. I noticed that I started using me becoming a father as an excuse. Oh, it just changed. I cannot get back to it or something. But so it's very important to not just voice that you're going through transformation, but to try to notice, okay, what kind of excuses you are using. If while going through transformation, you are as I mentioned, dropping some routines or facing some hardships.
So that you would, because you linked it also to victimhood, right? So that so basically that losing something, that this would put us a bit into, I'm this poor person, right? That has all of that going on, and now I cannot. I understand. But sometimes, isn't it also? I mean, just the fact, right, that we are struggling a bit, right? And can you easily accept that also, or do you? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I have been struggling with that a bit, but what helped working with a coach to internalize that my mind, because I'm super this logical person who always like analyzes stuff, thinks, and I think in my mind, but to realize that my mind, this logical being inside, is not actually me, right? Because you may utilize and capitalize on your mind being very smart and logical and so on, but sometimes it can take over to such an extent that you become everything just about mind going in circles, and then getting into various victim patterns and so on. So what helped me is to try to shift the perspective to understand that my body and my mind is inside my soul, right? And if I'm failing for some period, at least I see that I'm failing. Let's say I'm not as productive as I would want to be. I'm not as achieving as much as I would want to achieve. To understand that it's not me, it's the body and mind, that kind of took over.
Yeah.
But I'm not a failure overall. So because I think it's very important to keep the energy in a positive state, and to always have hope in yourself, even though you're unhappy about yourself during some periods.
So it's a bit like zooming out, right? Momentarily we may have a struggle, but if we zoom out and see the overall picture, it looks kind of good again, and we can be hopeful and faithful that things are going somewhere. And we can trust that. You mentioned did you say I'm not as kind of productive as you would like to be, or so? And before you said if you want to become the best, right? Like teacher in AI. So there's some ambition in you, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think that's necessarily bad, but so you would say you're an ambitious person, and how do you navigate that? What helps you to not go, too far with that, so it's eating you up, but maybe ground yourself?
So I noticed that my ambition is good in the short term often. It helps you during short periods of time to achieve a lot. But in the long term, I noticed it's good in terms of a very narrow perspective, just let's say in your career or something. But in terms of your life, it will be very difficult to be a fulfilled, happy human being if your ambition is your driving force. So even though I have been utilizing my ambition throughout my life and it was helpful, but I'm trying as much as possible to go a bit away from this ego in terms of ambition me towards more of a higher purpose that I have, towards more seeing myself as an energy, as I mentioned, that if you just love what you're doing, not for the sake of achieving something, but you just love the process, then you are happy. And then naturally, as I mentioned, opportunities arise and you deliver your best result. So I believe that this side is the long-term, the sustainable approach.
I see what you mean. And in terms of where did I want to go with this? Studying, learning, right, is something that you kind of, I guess, take energy from, because it gives you energy. That's what I mean, because you like learning. How do you, I would say probably even studying, because if you go into all these new topics with AI, you need to educate yourself. How do you integrate that into your days? And are there fixed times where you study? Or do you have teachers you learn from? How does that look?
I don't have one teacher. I study throughout the day, usually nonstop, because I believe the best way to learn, specifically technology, but overall anything, but especially technology, is through projects. If you're just going through some course, you will not learn anything. So the most important thing is to always raise projects, what you would like to achieve, to automate something, to build some application, to use technology in a particular way. And then you learn by looking for answers and trying to build. I tried multiple times, let's say, to learn a particular tool. Let's say there's a tool called Bubble. It's one of the major no-code application builders that you can build any kind of application with visual programming, drag and drop. And I remember trying to learn by going through just some course and their tutorials, and I couldn't, because I didn't have a project that I would be excited about. And I ended up then never learning that tool. But then next, I remember I was working on one application, an artificial intelligence language tutor, and I was using one tool that I was already an expert in, but noticed some limitations that I cannot achieve particular things. And then I decided, okay, I need to shift to a completely new tool, which is, in this case, Flutter Flow. So it's similar to Bubble, also very powerful, but very complex. And that one I managed to learn in a week, not of course on a deep level, but to learn to such an extent that I managed to release that application to tens of thousands of users, that they can speak to an AI language tutor with their voice, and in any kind of role play, and so on. Wow. I managed to do that in 1 week. Why? Because I had this project that I knew that I need to release to customers, right? So that's the most important thing.
It's very interesting what you're saying, because you're a bit on both sides. So you're studying a technology and you also teach it. So I know we're all not all the same type of learner, right? Some people learn, I don't know, visually or through different things. For me, totally, it's also the practical part. As soon as I start doing things, I integrate them, right? If I just look at something, watching someone do something, it doesn't enter me in that sense. So how do you use that experience, your personal experience, in your own teachings?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Overall, you mentioned different learning styles. So the beautiful thing specifically with artificial intelligence now is that you can convert any kind of material to a different form that's best for you. So if you are reading an article or a long research paper or something, you can take that research paper or article and get AI to generate a mind map for you if you're a visual learner, or to generate some infographics. It can do it now already. Or you can drop into Notebook LM and generate a podcast conversation. And even Notebook LM now allows you to jump into a podcast and as a listener and ask a question. And imagine
we
AI
should have invited it.
And AI then, okay, Vykintas, that's an amazing question. So let's answer it, and then it carries on.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of artificial intelligence, that it allows you to convert kind of anything to anything you can imagine. You have, as I mentioned, a text, and you want to convert it into quiz. Boom, very easy, right? So your creativity is the limit.
Yeah.
And you can adapt. Now, when I'm teaching someone, so overall, I believe one of the major principles for learning that really help you is to learn to teach. No matter if you're a teacher or not, to learn in such a way that, imagine if you would have to explain to your child, or even practically at the dinner table, to your partner, try to explain something that you learned today, to share, right? Because then when you think in terms of learning to teach, your mind will start thinking in different dimensions, how to interconnect everything, what kind of analogies you could provide, how you could explain in different words, right? And then it starts connecting in your mind. Now, for me specifically, because I'm such a logical person, I love using so-called computational thinking. So computational thinking, the first part of computational thinking is so-called decomposition. So you take any kind of topic or problem, challenge, and you try to decompose it into smaller parts, as I call variables. So for instance, if I try to learn how to prompt for image generation or image editing with artificial intelligence, I'm not a designer, I'm not an artist, I don't know the vocabulary or something. So then I go to AI and ask, look, so use computational thinking and decompose image generation and image editing into major variables of categories, what you can do, let's say, while editing images. And also think in terms of the main vocabulary words, main keywords that I should know to get a wide perspective of what's possible, right? And then AI helps me to drop into these variables, and then I see, okay, I can outpaint, so expand an image. And then even though different tools may use different expressions, but overall AI always will understand that, right? Or I can inpaint, so to inpaint some kind of another item within an image using artificial intelligence. And this way you can do it pretty fast.
So that's how you teach your students to put it into these parts.
Yes.
Basically how.
So also how I teach myself if I get into some new topic, and also how I then try to teach my students to try to understand the major building blocks, like Lego bricks in terms of whatever topic you are taking, right? And also trying to build interactively even applications based on some kind of material that you are learning. So I'll provide an example. For instance, during the AI Mastery program, we have Dominic Ashburn, an amazing speaker who focuses on artificial intelligence for social media. He's a very creative person, and he had a class on image editing, and he provided a framework, what kind of variables to think in terms. So think in terms of object, think in terms of lighting, think in terms of something else, and then different potential values under each variables. And I was listening during the class, and I felt like, okay, like it's an amazing framework, but if I don't do anything now, it will remain in the slides. Right? It will be somewhere on my folder. I will never open it and never come back. So right during a class, I opened Airtable, which is like Google Sheets, just on steroids, which is a bit more controlled. You can build your own whatever application you want with similar to Google Sheets. And I built an application with all these variables as columns that you can click on that column and select a value. Let's say what lighting you want or what style you want, right? From a list of options. And then you select everything, and boom, there is another cell which creates a prompt for you, combines everything together. And this way, I learned it much faster by very proactively trying to build a solution for myself, going kinesthetically instead of listening to something.
And you did that while you were still listening to him?
While I was still listening. And then in the end of the call, I shared that application with all the students.
Wow. Because I'm thinking, so there's multiple things that are going on for me. So teaching that you teach live and virtually, right? Mainly. I do. How is that experience for you? I mean, to get a feel for the audience, and so you probably have the chat going on and the screen and multiple screens, and you need to navigate all that, right? Has that been?
It's really challenging. One thing is that while I was seeing myself as a developer primarily, I was not practicing my public speaking at all for many years. So suddenly I shifted to teaching, and not just recording, but teaching live and talking not in my native language. I had this like a bit impostor syndrome, because I see Vishen Lakiani, let's say the founder of Mindvalley, who is just brilliant, like the way he speaks, the tone, everything, how he selects the words and like the storytelling, combining everything. I had a very strong imposter syndrome. But one thing what helped me is one thing, honesty, and another thing, trying to think in terms of variables, as I mentioned. So okay, I'm thinking if I'm teaching, I want to make sure that it's not just dry lecture. So I need to create some energy. Okay, let's use artificial intelligence to create a song about about the topic of today's lesson. So every time I deliver a lesson on any kind of tech tool or a tech topic, I always have an AI created song specifically for that. And we are dancing during the call and so on to make sure that I feel better and my students feel better, right? And I think, okay, in terms of practical exercises, what we will be doing together, and any other details that I combine again as Lego bricks to make sure that my class, maybe I'm not the best orator, but overall the class is a success. It's valuable. And when you're teaching, of course, technology and live, it's especially difficult because often technology doesn't work. So how do you, there is a principle that when it's live or something, it won't work, right?
The Murphy's Law or something. Is that the one?
Something like that. And it seems like it's always working. Now it's like lagging for some reason and not working at all. Or we had situations when we would take some action on OpenAI, the major multi-billion-dollar company, and this would be a few hundred of us. And we would break OpenAI, that action would stop working because just a few hundred people would click a button to fine tune an AI model, which they wouldn't expect probably during the same minute, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then what do you do then? So you need to to be very flexible and to adjust during the call.
Flexible, yeah, and resilient, I think also. And at the same time, you have another challenge that things are evolving so far. So it could happen that what you teach today is no longer the case tomorrow.
So AI Mastery, we teach once per year. And I'm always preparing the curriculum, overall, the structure. And then like when it comes to details within a specific call, it depends on a given speaker. So the curriculum that I prepared for last year, 2024, I know this year I will need to completely redo it. Completely. Not just what's in each lesson, but overall what we cover, what we include, because it's just changing so freaking fast.
Well, what comes to my mind, I think I want to say in our time, I'm not sure if we are exactly the same age, but it was kind of, sometimes we said that teachers can just take out the same sheets year after year, right? The ones that maybe wouldn't have cared so much. But in an area like yours, this is not possible at all. You couldn't just pull the drawer and take the sheets out from last year. I mean, anyway, it's virtual, but yeah, I see. So yeah, flexibility, resilience. Yeah, I can see how that helps you build that. And how do you like living life as a teacher? I mean, that's something that just came about, I think, without you probably expecting it or choosing it consciously. Is that something you enjoy?
Yeah, once I embraced it.
Yeah.
And because I really care about my students, I love hearing from them and seeing their projects.
Yeah.
I love it. Naturally. And especially what I love, I guess, is that when you're a developer, you are just working on this one project. But when you're teaching, you are multiplying your mind to some extent, right? Because you're empowering others to build.
And I guess you can always also learn from your students, right? We usually say we learn everywhere, we learn from everyone. And also the projects that you mentioned, because that's your own experience, right? That you learn when you have a project that you really want to bring to life, and that you create these projects also for your students, so that they live and learn in a practical way.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's the first you would like to create in the near future?
So now my first that I'm most excited about is creating the first complex application, not just, when they show in tutorials or something, but real life complex application with purely just AI coding it. Because so far I have been creating all my applications and automations with no code, and then placing artificial intelligence agents in these applications, right? But I would myself build it.
Yeah.
But now there is a new movement arising called vibe coding. So when you just instruct AI what you want to create, and it's then coding and creating the code base, and you're not even reading the code that it outputs, you're just checking if it works. If it's not, you're giving feedback or giving error message, and then AI again codes again. So it's vibe coding. So I'm not a developer myself. I still don't know how to write code. I can read a little bit, but I'm not a developer. So now this is the first that I'm excited about, is to create a fully functioning application purely with just artificial intelligence, even though I can't code.
Wow, this sounds very exciting. And yeah, I think about what you're saying, that you don't know how to code. I think in the old days, it was clear that developers would know how to program, how to code. But now with these low code and no code platforms, right? That's what you're using. I think you said visually program. Is that what you called it? You program visually, you put together blocks. But now basically it comes down to you knowing how to instruct an AI to code or to program, to develop.
So no code, low code is you are still creating the solution yourself. You're not writing the code typing it in, but you are visually thinking about all the logic, about everything. It's very intense. It's actually difficult, because people may think that it's easy because you're not writing the code. But the most difficult part is thinking about entire logic, how everything combines. I have been doing this for many years with no code, low code tools. But now AI is already reaching the level where you can create applications with code. So in a code environment, without seeing, and visually programming. that even if you don't understand that code that is being created. So I purposefully didn't do it in the last year because it was still appearing, and I believe that developers could already take the most out of it because still you had to understand what's underneath to maybe change something yourself when AI gets stuck. But I believe now we are entering this stage when it has become so good that you actually even don't need necessarily to understand code to create applications by just telling AI if it works or not.
I can see and feel the energy and the passion for this topic. And yeah, I'm very excited to see the result of what you're saying. Is there anything that you would like to give us as a final message, closing remark?
When it comes, maybe when it comes to firsts, in my life, I have always tried to go for firsts whenever possible, and to challenge myself. Once as a teenager, I decided to swim through a river to some park where there was a concert and I didn't have a ticket. Not because I didn't have money, but just to challenge myself,
really?
to just do it. And then security caught me, and got me back to the river, pushed me back. Traveling without knowing where you were asleep. When we just met, I was telling that I loved my Euro trips.
Yeah.
Because with my friends, when we were 18, 19-year-old, because we didn't know where we will sleep, and it was giving us full flexibility. So we would want to go to Bordeaux by train from Amsterdam. We come to the train station that they tell that no, there is no this train, or it's full or something. And we're like, okay, where do we have another train in 15 minutes? And they say, Bern, completely different direction, right? And we're like, okay, let's go to Bern. Why not? Or we would sometimes pass the place where we intended to get out just because we wanted to sleep. So we decided to stay in the train to sleep. So to go always for new first experiences. I went for, let's say, recruitment of Special Operation Forces of Lithuania, and was actually selected, but decided to go for Mindvalley to Malaysia, to go for ayahuasca, Vipassana 10-day retreat, to go for your firsts in terms of changing your identity, changing your career, learning new tools. And I think naturally then it will lead you for a very interesting path.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. And I think stories come from this first, right? All the stories we just heard from you were somehow initiated at some point, and you embraced them and integrated them into your life. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. If you liked today's episode, it would mean the world to us if you like it and share it with anyone who could need a boost in courage. We would also love to hear from you. What are your reflections after listening to this conversation? Share them with us in the comments, and let's keep creating intentional firsts together. We'll see you next first time. Until then, much love and courage. Ciao.